Hey, it's Regina here at Tarot and Time in Connecticut. I'm on the road right now, but I wanted to make sure to talk to you about the month of March. So last month we had the planet Saturn move into the fire sign of Aries. That was a big deal because it hasn't moved in 2.5 years. So Saturn, the planet of responsibility, moving from the watery, creative, karmic sign of Pisces into the cardinal fire sign of Aries. That's a big deal. Now, Neptune, that's been hanging out in Pisces for the past 14 years, the ruler of Pisces, made its trek into Aries at the end of last month. So now we have these two major planet changes. So we're in new times. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, new, fresh energy, and much different than Pisces. So I really want you to reflect on what's changed, what's different, what is coming to the surface, because Pisces is all that watery energy. Pisces rules secrets, things that can't be seen. But remember, in astrology, everything is one extreme or the other. So Pisces is also associated with vision and karmic responsibility. So we have a lot of things. We can see it on the news. Things are bubbling up to the surface. Truths are being exposed, and, there's a lot of chaos. So we have to keep ourselves focused, centered, looking at the big picture, getting down into our own picture of where these themes are playing out in our lives. I sent an interesting link in our newsletter. If you're not on our newsletter, just head over to tarotandtime.com, THYME. And there'll be a pop-up to sign up. I was sharing some of my own stories about misuse of power because a lot has come up to the surface with the wellness community, with a lot of our gurus getting in trouble over the years, our latest one being Deepak Chopra. I think I'm saying his name right. And so these things, we need to look at how that happened in the big picture, but then how in our own lives are we, for me, I was allowing the misuse of power. Right? I was giving my power away, something I had learned early on as a Jehovah's Witness. And so we want to not only look at the big picture of what's coming up, but what our role is, what we have done, where our responsibility lies in maybe putting people on pedestals or, for me, it was just not believing that I was worthy, right? So letting people kind of manipulate that. And so by no means am I trying to blame the victims in the situation. Please don't misunderstand me. I am just asking us to take responsibility where we need to take responsibility, and each person's story is different. And beginning to share mine more and more with you. So this is going to be a really consolidated energy month. Look at this chart. This is the full moon in Virgo. And we're going to talk more about it later, but I just want you to see how a lot of these planets are really scrunched together. So we will, wherever Pisces is in your chart, wherever Aries is in your chart, that's where the planets are going to be hitting. So if you're trying to push in areas of your life where there's no energy, all the energy is consolidated in those areas. If you need help figuring out what area that is, just comment below with your date of birth, time of birth, and place of birth, and I can help you out. So here we are in March in a Mercury retrograde going through the water sign of Pisces. So Pisces, remember, illusion, delusion. It has to do with secrets. In old school astrology, Old English, they called it the house of the undoing. Pisces, the undoing. How we could do ourselves in, right? It's associated with drugs and alcohol and unhealthy behaviors, okay? So we're coming out of that energy, moving more into this Aries energy where things are where we can see them, where we can take action. So we can take action to heal ourselves. We can take action to help heal the world. And I think it really starts with ourselves and moves out. So Mercury retrograde started on February 26th, and it started at 22 degrees of Pisces. It's going to move back all the way to 8 degrees of Pisces, which was the same as where it was at on February 11th. So basically, Mercury's moving along. It gets to March 26th. It starts to begin its backwards descent, the optical illusion of it moving backwards. It moves backwards in degrees in astrology. And so we revisit everything that happened since February 11th. Then it's going to go direct, and it's going to come back over everything that happened for the third time. So we will not be in fresh territory until we get to April 10th. Okay. So I would encourage you to wait on major decisions, major purchases until at least 320, 321. But if you want the optimal situation, please wait until after 410. So this year we have a lot of, I'm pretty sure all the Mercury retrogrades this year are in water signs, which is going to be interesting. Those deep dives into our own emotions. And remember, this is kind of the last bit of this Pisces energy. We're in Pisces season. The sun is in Pisces. A lot of planets are there. But, Neptune, the ruling planet, has already moved into Aries. It's never coming back to Pisces in our lifetime. So I look at that as a time right now to rest, recuperate, regroup, look at the things that we were shedding during the year of the snake in Chinese astrology last year, and start looking at how we want to move ahead. And we're going to be moving ahead at a great speed. And this is like the last bit of to me, it's like rest while you can, because it's going to be moving forward. Now, this eclipse and this lunar eclipse and full moon that we're moving into is going to help us with that last purge that we need. Okay. So let's jump into where we left off last month, which was we finished up on Sunday, March 1st. We begin on Monday, March 2nd, when the moon is in the fire sign of Leo. And this is a full moon week. This is an eclipse week. This is a Mercury retrograde. And I think Jupiter's still in retrograde. So interesting times as we start off the month of March. Now, Mars, the planet of action, moves into the watery sign of Pisces on Monday, March 2nd. Now, Mars likes to move fast, and Pisces is not known for speed. So there's a little bit more of that slowing down. There's a very intuitive energy going on, and we need to pay attention to it, right? Because if we don't, why would we not want to, right? That's the way I look at it now. It's like I've used to ignore that feeling, that gut feeling, or just kind of hope it wasn't true, right? But it's there to guide us. So listen to it. It'll help us. So following your intuition, more slow movement, more gentleness, more creative energy. This is a great time to sort and sift through old paperwork. This is a great time to go through old creative projects and take some action there. Again, not really launching the projects until when we get into April, but a great time to prepare, to review all those RE themes, research, revisit, all that kind of stuff. Now, Tuesday the 3rd, the moon moves into Virgo. Well, it moved in actually the day before. So Monday the 2nd, really the moon was only in Leo until very early in the morning. Then it moved into Virgo, the analyzer. Now, remember, Virgo's ruled by Mercury. So we're going to have this full moon on Tuesday the 3rd at 6:38 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the sun will be at 12 degrees Pisces. The moon will be at 12 degrees of Virgo. And again, Virgo's ruled by Mercury. So when we look at the ruling planet is in retrograde. The sun is in Pisces, the last sign of the zodiac. So this is a great time to release some perfectionism. This is a great time to declutter your life. This is a great time to reevaluate your routines and habits. And there's a lot here about what's stressing you out. Are you at the end of your rope in some things? Are you in a job that you hate? Are you feeling the pressure? Are you feeling angry? All those things can come up during this full moon. So honor it, right? Don't just dismiss it. We have to feel our feelings. It's just what we do with them that it makes a difference, okay? So we don't want to argue. We don't want to look for trouble. This would be a great time to get to the gym or or get some really good exercise in to get some of that anger out, some of that pent up energy out. Finding the balance, taking care of yourself. And this is a great time to start working on any kind of exit strategy. So if there's something that you know, I got to get out of this job is not for me, this is the time to start preparing the exit strategy. It will be reevaluated during this Mercury retrograde. So kind of put it to the side, keep working on it so that you can move forward with it later. Now, the lunar eclipse, I guess they're going to see it out west in like California and Oregon. And I guess it makes the moon look red. Lunar eclipses are said to take something away. So here you are, offer up something that you would like to let go of. Okay, that I think it could have themes of where service. It could be that you're giving too much time to something or giving too much time to your work, and this is the time to shift it. Make your moon water. Don't forget about moon water. There's a video on YouTube on moon water if you want to listen to it about the benefits of it, how to do it. It's very simple. Just grab a mason jar, put some water in it, put it in the window, let it get charged up a couple days before this full moon, a couple days after. I like to drink it. And really think about, maybe you write down the things that you are ready to release. And this this can also just be emotions and feelings. Take advantage of the art of moon water. Now, Wednesday the 4th, the moon will be in Virgo until a little after lunch when it moves into the harmonious sign of Libra, sign of balance, a Venus-ruled sign. Then as we move into the 5th, Thursday the 5th, we have the Sun trine Jupiter. Now, this is lovely anytime we have Jupiter involved, and opportunities can present themselves. Sun trine Jupiter. The sun is going to shine light on Jupiter, which is a planet considered to be a planet of luck and blessings and opportunity. It's hanging out in the watery sign of Cancer. The sun is hanging out in the watery sign of Pisces. So we may have some really great creative hits. We may see, what we can do with our creative energy. No major decisions till mid-April, but opportunities may present themselves. So enjoy that. Now, on the 6th, so remember, we're going to move into a Scorpio weekend here, which I kind of find exciting. Now, Venus moves into Aries on the 6th. And so Venus is moving out of the watery romantic sign of Pisces, and it's moving into the sign of Aries. And it doesn't do as well in Aries. I think it's considered its detriment there. So be a little careful. Don't jump right into things. We have a lot of Pisces fogginess. Don't jump into major decisions about finances or about love. Be confident, stand tall. I always tell people who have Venus in Aries, if they're single, don't be afraid to make the first move, right? There's a little bit kind of that ambitious energy, that forward energy. But Venus, it's not its best spot. So as much as I want you to be confident and stand tall and don't back down, I want you to also be careful about what you agree to. So sometimes there can be a lot of envy in the air when there's Venus in the sign of Aries. So the moon moves into Scorpio on Friday night, and then we will be there all weekend in Scorpio. Now, we're already coming off this full moon, and it was a Virgo full moon. And Virgo is very detailed and analytical, and Scorpio to me is that times a million. So be careful you're not nitpicking. Be careful that you're not fixating on things too hard. But there's a lot of intuitive energy that can come up, and there's a lot that old stuff that might surface because you're trying to release stuff. Okay. Now, we have on the 7th, Venus is going to do a few things. It's going to, and over the 7th through the 10th, it's going to come together with Neptune, Venus in conjunct Neptune. I have that in my chart. It's called an affliction. Okay. It's called an affliction because it can fog things and make it not clear in love and in finances. So you have to be careful if you think, you have it all figured out. Remember, we're in the Mercury retrograde, and then Venus is there with foggy Neptune. Then Venus is going to be conjunct Saturn, which is going to bring in the responsibility, but that can bring in some financial gain. Then Venus is going to be sextile Pluto, and so that can bring in an intensity also. I wrote down fantasy, reality, truths. Venus conjunct Neptune, fantasy. Venus conjunct Saturn, reality. Venus sextile Pluto, truths. All right. So be aware of that Venus energy going on. 3-7, Saturday. There's a lot going on 3-7. So Mercury is going to be Cazimi. And Mercury's retrograde. So Cazimi means that it's in the heart of the sun. So there's going to be a lot there. Mercury, very social, likes to talk a lot. And it's going to be Cazimi in the heart of the sun, but it's going to be retrograde. So with Mercury in the sign of Pisces, in the heart of the sun in Pisces, and it's hanging out close to the north node of the moon, which means that the south node of the moon is going to be opposite, and the south node is the past. So with this transit, sometimes we will see that people from the past show up. This can bring in exes or old people that maybe you worked for. And so these people may show up. And the question is will you make the same mistake again? So be careful with that. It's Mercury retrograde, so you may get a couple chances with this, but pay attention also to just the old feelings coming up, okay? So it might not even be a literal person, but it could be the memory of them. Now, I have some bunch of notes on the 7th here. What did I write? I wrote stuff about it being opposite the past life point, which we talked about. There's a lot of mental clarity because it's Mercury. And Scorpio, which we talked about, has such great precision. But Scorpio wants to bring in transformation and new beginnings. So there is a chance here with these people showing up from the past or just feeling showing up from the past that you will be able to transform it. Okay, just be aware of the mistakes that you made last time and how you can do it differently this time. You will have into Sunday the 8th with the moon continuing to be in the deep water sign of Scorpio. I hope that you get to sleep in. Water signs love rest and relaxation, and most of Connecticut right now is snowed in anyways, right? So why don't you get a chance to sleep in there on Sunday the 8th, even if it's just for a few extra minutes. Daylight savings time begins that day. So let's see, we'll be springing ahead. All right, might be a little bit harder to sleep in, but you get my point. Just get some rest and take good care of yourself. Let's pull some cards for this week, this big Virgo full moon week, this lunar eclipse week, this first full week of the Mercury retrograde. And I'm traveling, so I only have this one deck with me right now. I believe it's the Green Witch, and I really like it. It's very herbal, very Celtic. And let's see what we've got going on. I wish I brought my Ostara deck because there is that pagan holiday of Ostara this month, but I didn't think ahead. All right, so here we go. Here's your 3 theme cards for the week. And your first one is the Queen of Swords, called the Queen of Athens in this deck. Now, she's an air queen. She would be considered an air sign. The point being is there's a lot of precision, and the Queen of Swords isn't necessarily warm and fuzzy. She's very to the point. She's down to business. And I've heard her called the Widow Queen or the businesswoman queen. Okay, so she is cutting her irises here. She's trimming off probably the dead flowers. She's arranging something beautiful for herself. And she's really not to be messed with. Okay, so when these people come up from the past this week, or these ideas come up from the past, and you've got all this energy about releasing and decluttering, and I want you to stick to your boundaries because she is the queen of boundaries also. And I don't want you to feel bad about your boundaries, okay? Because we all need a certain amount of them. She's also the queen of communications. This is a good time to go through those old projects. It's a great time to be writing, especially as Mercury's Cazimi this week, the sun. We've got the moon card here. And to me, I always think of the moon. I think in astrology, the moon is associated with the sign Cancer. In tarot, the moon is associated with the sign Pisces. So either way, you've got watery energy here. I think of this card as your subconscious mind, your memory, right? Like your memory that's been handed down many lifetimes. That's the moon. We see a full moon there in the picture. It's lighting the way, it's reflecting in the water. And so you may have intense dreams. You may have a lot of things coming up to the surface. Maybe they don't all make sense to you, but please write them down. You also got the Seven of Wands. And this is an interesting version of the Seven of Wands. The bird that was in the background on the Queen of Swords is now in the window here on the Seven of Wands. And so you've got kind of this little companion here, keeping an eye out on you. Now, Seven of Wands, I can't tell if she's putting those wands up there or if she's taking them down, okay? But whatever it is, it's on display. The Seven of Wands is usually about there being a lot going on. But to me here, she's very proud of it. She wants to show it off. And it's something of value and something of beauty to her. So be proud of your accomplishments. Be proud of how far you've come, the healing that you've done. Don't be afraid to share that with other people. But also, again, to make the boundary very strong about what works for you and what doesn't work for you. Okay, let's jump into the next week, which is March 9th through March 15th. Again, we're still in this Mercury retrograde, coming down off of the full moon. The moon will be in the sign of Scorpio on the morning of the 9th, and right before lunch here, Eastern Standard Time, it's going to move into the freedom-loving sign of Sagittarius. So Sagittarius is a mutable sign, and the sun is hanging out in Pisces right now. Pisces is a mutable sign. So they square each other. They make a 90-degree angle. So there may be some conflict between how we show up and who we truly are, what we have to do and what we really want to be doing. Sagittarius loves the freedom of movement, and Sagittarius is ruled by the planet Jupiter. Jupiter has been in retrograde, I believe, since November. So now it's going to go direct on the 10th. So that's going to be a really good thing, that the planet of luck, blessings, and expansion is now moving in the forward direction. So at 11:30 p.m. on Tuesday, the 10th, we have Jupiter going direct. Your faith is rewarded. Maybe you've been going through some hard times, especially if you're a Sagittarius, okay? Now things are like the wheel is starting to move in the right direction for you again. So your faith is rewarded for holding on and believing that things will get better, okay? So now we can start to see things moving. Things did get rocky. It was easy to throw in the towel. And if you're feeling stuck, your faith will be rewarded. Good news. All right. Now, on Wednesday, the 11th, we'll have the last quarter moon in Sagittarius. And maybe you've been trying to make the best of a situation that doesn't serve you anymore. Maybe you've been setting your sights downward. Maybe you haven't. Maybe you've lowered your expectations in some way. Maybe you've just been working hard to make your current situation work. Now, it's a good time to get out while you can, okay? Last quarter moon in Sagittarius. This moon cycle is closing out in a freedom-loving sign of Sagittarius. Choose freedom where it is available to you. Now, on the 12th, the moon continues in Sagittarius. It will move into Capricorn right after, no, that's midnight, I guess, just a little bit after midnight here. And we have a Friday the 13th this month. I think we had one last month too. So Friday the 13th, the moon will be in the sign of Capricorn. And on the 14th, it stays there in Capricorn until 11:13 a.m. when the moon moves into Aquarius. And it will be hanging out there with Pluto in those early degrees of Aquarius. Now, on the 15th, Mercury retrograde comes together with the planet Mars, okay, in the watery sign of Pisces. So you want to be really detailed and you want to be really deliberate. Now, you may have some uncertainty about might have some second thoughts, some cold feet about some situations that may have come up in the past week, maybe about 8 days ago. It's a good time to, again, this is the same theme that we kind of had a little earlier in the week. It's a good time to start putting together your exit plan. In your head, maintain a low profile, gather information, be deliberate and detailed, and you'll walk away unscathed by April 9th, okay? Don't be blabbing this to everyone. Don't be really taking the action right now because Mercury is in retrograde and Mars is in the watery sign of Pisces, but continue the research that you've been doing if there's a situation that needs to be exited. Now, let's pull some cards. Let's see what we got going on here for this week. All right, this Mercury retrograde this week, this last quarter of the moon closeout. And what do we need to know? I have 3 cards for you here from the Green Witch Tarot deck. This one wants to be in there too, but I'm putting this one back and you'll be happy because it's the Tower. And we've had enough Tower energy last month. So it's kind of almost like wanted to still be acknowledged that so much was going on during Aquarius season, right? And like one of the things we said was a decision you made maybe 8 days ago. We were coming out of all this Tower energy in February. We had snowstorms in Connecticut and we just had craziness and all the news is crazy and there's all this unexpected energy with Aquarius energy. Now we kind of are moving out of that. We're in this Pisces energy, but that Tower card kind of wanted to still slip in here and say, like, remember the things that were recently gone through, okay? Now this week, we have the 3 of Pentacles here. This is nice grounded energy, right? 3 is like a foundation number. I love that he looks like he's being handed like a musical instrument here, and the heron is there. And the heron is just one of my spirit guides personally. I find them so intriguing. He's holding a fish, almost offering that fish up. Looks like you're being applauded in some way. You're being held in high regard. And the heron is a very interesting animal, feels very prehistoric. Whenever I see it in Connecticut, I always feel like it doesn't belong there. Herons spend most of their time alone, okay, and a lot of time fishing. And they really only come together with a mate to have babies. So it's very interesting here. There's kind of the solo energy of the heron acknowledging you. And it feels like celebratory energy there, 3 of Pentacles. You also have the 8 of Wands here. They're preparing a place for you. It's almost like there's a celebration happening here. The meal is being set up for you, this beautiful picnic. And 8 of Wands is traditionally called the honeymoon card. It's usually associated with travel or a bigger picture or, I don't know, you think of honeymoon, you think of room service, right? So like it's like this beautiful meal is being prepared for you, along with the Star card. And I'm happy to see that Star card because the Star card actually comes in the tarot deck after the Tower. So we see that those things that happen, looks like it's successful. Looks like you're being applauded, celebrated, and the Star comes in and gives you hope. The way is being cleared for your hopes and dreams. Very pleased to see it. Now we move into the week of March 16th through March 22nd. This is a big week because the sun is going to change signs to Aries. We're going to be ending Pisces season. Planets are going to start to make their way out of Pisces into Aries. This is a new moon week. This is Ostara. This is the spring equinox, and Mercury is going to go direct. So this is hold on to your hat kind of week. Okay, so Monday the 16th, we start with the moon in the sign of Aquarius until 7:16 at night Eastern Standard Time when the moon moves into the watery sign of Pisces, because we're making our way to a Pisces new moon. Now, it's going to be emotional. Just know it. Don't take it personally. You're going to feel your own emotions. You may feel the pain of the world. Make sure that you're clearing yourself properly. A great way to clear yourself this week, especially, is the use of water. Baths, long showers, all that kind of stuff. Also the use of rose water, because rose has a very high vibration. So maybe you're just spritzing with rose water. So we're going to see some end of cycle, end of Pisces, things coming up, and a chance for newness because we also have the equinox and Ostara. Now, Ostara, my understanding, was a Germanic goddess, and they would celebrate the balance between day and night, and they would celebrate it by cleaning and planting seeds and going outside and doing outdoor activities and an altar with flowers and just the idea of new life. Okay, so this is exciting energy because if you've been in New England all winter, you are excited for new life. Okay, so Monday the 16th, moon into Pisces. It'll be there on the 17th, and then we're going to go into this new moon in Pisces. So this new moon's going to happen. We'll see the 17th, St. Patrick's Day. Then the 18th at 9:23 p.m., we have this new moon. Now, this is a great time to retreat back. Venus is going to be square Jupiter that day. And so let's start with that. Venus square Jupiter, not a great time to show off. Okay. Not a great time to show off your success and your luck. So maybe keep that a little bit quieter to yourself. And then also on the 18th, we have the sun sextile Uranus. So we can have amends can be made. There can be a calm. If we've been fighting with someone, there could be a break to that. Then we have this new moon. So this is a good time for you to step away. Now I'm showing a picture of a bathtub here. And, that's a wonderful way to step away in small increments. Okay. And even if it's just for a few hours, or even if it's just for a few minutes, intentional stepping away, self-care, whatever version of self-care works for you, you want to make sure that you're looking at that. This is the last new moon of the cycle, right? Because we just are going into this fresh cycle. The astrology, the zodiac year starts when the sun moves into Aries on the 20th. So this is the last of the old. So take some time, reflect on it, celebrate the release, okay? New moon in Pisces. Now, here is the chart for the new moon. It's a 28-degree Pisces new moon. So remember, we have a lot of other planets hanging out in Pisces. We still have Mars hanging out in Pisces. We have Mercury hanging out in Pisces. And because the new moon is at 28 degrees, it's considered conjunct together with Neptune and Saturn over there in the early degrees of Aries. So there's still a lot of Neptune activity. It's like Pisces again, times a million. It's together with its ruling planet. And then Saturn is there. So we've got things about karmic healing, release. We've got Saturn there bringing us into the reality. We can take our creative projects and bring them into reality. And we're getting to the end of this Mercury retrograde. So we're really kind of reassessing everything. Remember to make your moon water for the new moon. And on Thursday, the 19th, the moon continues into the sign of Pisces until 12:03 a.m. when it moves into Aries. The moon's going to be together with Venus, and interesting times. We're going to be launching this month also. I do a lot of tea and tarot groups in Kent for local people to come together and do some readings together. This month, I'm launching it virtually. So it's going to be a great way to come together, to join together, to talk about how to take advantage of this new moon. Go over to tarotinTime.com. I'm going to put a link below also. Now, the 20th, sun moves into Aries, 10:46 a.m. Raise your sights to the future. Aries is all about what are we doing next? It's so 3 of Wands in the tarot deck, right? Looking out, what's coming in next? Where are we going? Where do we want to be going? Now, Mercury goes direct at 3:33 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I love that, although it remains in its shadow period until 4:19. Relief at last from all that's been happening since 2/11. So if you've been having electronic problems, remember, Mercury rules all the electronics and the delivery of information. It rules merchants. What else does it rule? Roadways, pathways, so travel. If things have gotten wacky, there's going to be relief. Now, if you really can't wait to make major decisions, at least let Mercury get out of retrograde on Friday the 20th. But I do advise you that any time after 4/19 is ideal for major decisions, major purchases. Now we move into basically a Taurus weekend, because the moon moves into Taurus early on Saturday the 21st. And Taurus is such a beautiful Venus ruled sign. So enjoy that grounded energy. And it's a great time to go shopping. Come shop with us in Kent, Connecticut, or on our online store. We have lots of goodies. We're such a metaphysical boutique, I've been calling us lately. Now, Mars is going to trine Jupiter. So Mars is hanging out in the water sign of Pisces. Jupiter is in the sign of Cancer. It just went direct. And so there's great energy to, Jupiter's going to make everything bigger. There's going to be a lot of creative energy. There may be a lot of emotions coming up to the surface. It's a great time to create beauty, to create art. Okay. Great to work on your projects. Great time to make your house look beautiful. Great time to have people over for a beautiful meal, those kind of things. Okay. So very expansive action energy over the weekend. The moon continues in the sign of Taurus on Sunday, the 22nd. There's a lot of themes of karma, responsibility, and change. Okay. So take note of what's going on, what's coming up for you. Let's pull a couple cards, see what we got going on this great week. I mean, I think it's a great week. Not only is it a new moon, new beginnings, make your moon water, place your order to the universe, write a list of your orders to the universe. Place it underneath your moon water, a couple days before the new moon, a couple days after. Read your list and drink your water. Okay, let's see what your cards are. Your first card is the Seven of Swords. And I swear, I keep getting this card in this deck. It's interesting because the Seven of Swords often shows somebody like tiptoeing around. And this one's interesting because like the skunk is crossing his path. And I've read a lot about skunk medicine. And skunk medicine, I think I read it in Animal Speaks. Skunk medicine is said to be like the scent that we're putting out into the world. I think in science they say that is a lot of scent is what is drawing us into each other. But it's kind of, to me, it's like, what energy are you putting out there? Sometimes it took me a while to realize the energy that I was putting out there. It was off old, outdated belief systems and old, outdated versions of myself. And I kept bringing in, and not what I wanted, right? And so I started to have to look at that. What is it that I'm putting out there? Now that I'm aware more of the energy I'm putting out there, now I'm starting to receive the things that align to me better. So the question here is, what are you putting out there? What are you attracting in? Because this has like almost like can have a little bit of a sneaky energy to it. It's almost like, what are you running away from? What are you tiptoeing around? All right. So ask yourself those questions. They're good to ask. It's not to blame. It's just to own it and move forward. Now, your next card is the Judgment card. Well, that's an interesting card to come in after what we're talking about, because the Judgment card is about releasing. It's Pluto energy. And usually it's a real hairy card, looking like the resurrection, like the dead being risen up. But this one is the harvest, and it's card number 20. So in numerology, it would be a 2, it would be a relationship number. And it's interesting how in the first card, the woman's kind of standing in the doorway with her arms crossed, like she's protective, self-protective. But in this one, it looks like she's carrying a tray of food out. So whatever it is that you've been working through, you're starting to realize and acknowledge and starting to bring in what it is that you want, more harmonious relationships. Let's see what else we've got here. One more card for your week, and it is the Three of Swords, which is interesting because it almost looks like the same house that was there in the beginning in the Seven of Swords. She's coming in with all these groceries. It's almost like all this stuff from this harvest. She's carrying it home. But as she brings it home, the Three of Swords shows up, and Three of Swords is often a heartache card. Okay, so it's almost like, kind of in between these two shows the opportunity of what could be. And I want you to think about where you're settling and what it is you actually want and how you're falling into old patterns of being. Or maybe you're in a relationship that's not reciprocal. Maybe that's love. Maybe that's friends. Maybe that's work. Maybe you're doing a lot of the work here. And I want you to look at what message you're sending out to the world. Because remember, all this watery energy, it's a lot of like nonverbal stuff. What energy is your body putting out there? Check it, because it might be running on an old, outdated version of you. And this is time to update that so that you can start receiving what it is that you truly want. Now we move into the week of March 23rd through the 29th. We're actually going to scoot in just into the 31st of the month. And we know we came out of the Mercury retrograde, but we know we're still in the shadow period until April 10th. So if you can push those major decisions off, please do. If you can't, do your best. At least we're out of retrograde. Now, on the 23rd, the moon will be in the sign of Taurus, and by 4:19 a.m., so before we really wake up, it will move into the sign of Gemini. Gemini is a very social sign for the moon to be in. I was born with the moon in Gemini. We call it the child's mind because our minds are so active and there's so many different ideas that could come up. Now, remember, Mercury, the ruling planet, just came out of retrograde. It's going to be interesting to see what you're thinking and what you're feeling after you've been all through that retrograde. So great time to journal. Again, on Tuesday, the 24th, it continues in Gemini. And then on Wednesday, the 25th, we have a couple things going on. One is that we have the first quarter moon in the sign of Cancer. So the moon moves into this watery sign of Cancer, its own sign that it rules, where it does its very best, at 6:33 a.m. This is a good time to present your ideas because you are ready. Now, Cancer in astrology rules marketing and that pull that you have. So take advantage of this first quarter moon to start presenting your ideas. Maybe you start test running some of your presentations because we still, like we said, we're still in that shadow of Mercury retrograde, but you're beginning to be ready. The sun is going to be close to Saturn. That can help you out. Saturn wants to help you build your life. So let's do this creative projects to reality. Now, on the 26th, the moon continues in Cancer, and the 27th, it will be there until 10:10 a.m. when it moves into the fire sign of Leo. So we'll have the sun in a fire sign and the moon in a fire sign. So there's a lot of spice going on and a lot of emotions because we still have some planets in the watery sign of Pisces. Now, we move into a Leo weekend, and on Saturday, the 28th, Saturn will be sextile Pluto. Saturn, the builder, the planet of responsibility, hardship, but long-term success, is going to be making a positive aspect to Pluto. And Pluto brings in change. Pluto is power. It rules other people's money. So we have cosmic support there with Saturn sextile Pluto on the 28th, but it'll affect us the day before, day after also. The 29th, the moon's in Leo. So really, it's a great day. Like I would be enjoying a nice Sunday brunch on Sunday, the 29th. Leo's the heart. It's joy. It's fun. Enjoy that. The moon moves into Virgo at 3:33 p.m. And so maybe you end your plans early, go home, get things organized. Okay. That's a great time for that. Now, that's also Palm Sunday. Then we move into the 30th of the month. We're going to head over just in the beginning of this next week, finish out the month. We know we're heading to a full moon. The full moon in Libra will be happening on April 1st. So there's a lot, there's a lot of fire, there's a lot of emotion, and we're heading into a full moon week. So please keep that in mind. Now, on the 30th, something wonderful happens, and that is that Venus moves into its own sign of Taurus. So it goes from being in its worst spot in Aries into one of its best spots in Taurus. And I just wrote down, lovely, lovely plants and flowers, right? Stability at last, Venus in its own sign. So a lot of earth energy there on Monday, the 30th, with the moon in the earth sign of Virgo, Venus entering the earth sign of Taurus. Enjoy it. Buy yourself some flowers, maybe, or go shopping or do something wonderful for yourself. Okay, and on the 31st, the moon will be in Virgo and it will move into Libra later in the evening as we head to the full moon and April Fool's Day on the 1st of the month. So again, with Saturn sextile Pluto this month, which is a rare sextile between two powerful planets, you really get to dictate what comes next. If you like what you're doing, then you'll succeed. If you don't like what you're doing, again, we keep getting the same message. This is the time to start to leave gracefully. This is a time to transition to better things. Great accomplishment and achievement are available. Cosmic support is available. This is a very beneficial time. You know, Saturn's in the sign of Aries, sextile Pluto in the sign of Aquarius. Well, Saturn's the original ruler of Aquarius. So Saturn, you know, I always say, when people take an astrology class, they always think so bad of Saturn. They think that Saturn wants to ruin their life. But Saturn is the building inspector of the zodiac. So yes, you have to follow the rules and you have to check the boxes and you have to get the right permits. But when you do that, there's success at the end. You get what you're asking for. So take advantage of this time to make the right changes that you need to make, to start to look at the decisions, all the things that you've reviewed over the Mercury retrograde. As the planets move more and more into Aries that have to do with redefinition of self, take advantage of this time. This is the time that people who came to me for readings over the past few months, this is the time that I was pointing to, that things are going to start to show up, to be more clear, to have more vision. This is now. So here we go. Make the most of it. Now let's pull a few more cards for this last week of the month. See anything else that you need to know this month. Oh, I got a couple jumper cards here. There's two. Let me pull one more. This deck is so pretty. I even love the back of this deck. It's so lovely. Okay, now the first card is the Two of Athams, which is called the Two of Swords traditionally. Now, Two of Swords is a relationship number. And usually the traditional version, you see a woman with her eyes covered, right? Because the answers aren't out there, they're in here. So you have to go internal. This one looks like teamwork, like they're working together. They both are sharing maybe their opinions and it looks beneficial. Okay. So it looks like you may have some good helpers, some good thoughts, some good ideas. The Five of Wands here is here. Five of Wands, Five of Fire. Five is a number of change. Wands is passion, drive. We have a lot of fire energy right now. Now, it looks like they're kind of looking at their spell book and they're giving direction and orders, right? It looks like they're orchestrating something. So it looks like you have a lot of helpers around to orchestrate this change. We also have the Witch card, and this is the magician of this deck. And I love that it's called the Witch here. I love that she is the alchemist. She has everything she needs to make the magic happen. This is our card of the year because 2026 equals the number 1. We know we've talked many times about ending a 9-year cycle. As a world, 2025 equaled the number 9. Now we've moved into a 1 year. There's a shift. And this Witch card, or traditionally called the magician, who is the alchemist of the tarot deck, this is our card of the year. It has extra power here. So she's made her circle. She's claimed her space. She's working on her potion. It's interesting how the one before, they have the spell book out, and she's creating the life that she wants. You have all the tools to create what it is. Whatever changes need to be made, those are what you're going to be thinking about right now. And you can move forward and you can trust that you are creating the life that you want. As you bring more joy into your life, you can reflect that joy out into the world and help make a difference. Okay. Thank you for joining me for this big month of March. Please comment, please follow, engage. I'd love to talk to you more. And I will be taking this video and cutting it up into pieces and reposting it every week. I know it's hard to take it all in at once, so that will be there. And head over to our website if you're ever in Connecticut. Stop in the store and say hi. Thanks for joining me.